This is a top-level Super Mario Bros. Speedrunner. Niftski is famous for breaking world records really quickly, pulling up tricks one thought impossible, and basically just being so good at this game. The other day, I had a chance to do an interview with him, talking about his ways of practicing and so much more.
I remember I burnt out for, I think, a little over a week. What I personally do for time saves, I think the main takeaway is like...
So, I wanted to test his methods for 7 days to see how good I could actually get at any percent. Along the way, I will share some of the best takeaways from our interview. Big thanks to Niftski for his times and insights. Make sure to check out his channel because he's currently grinding for the perfect speedrun. Whoa! And of course, I hope you all enjoy this video.
Okay, so I have this idea in mind where the title is I practice like Niftski for 7 days. How good can I be? So like, I want to know, how do you practice when you want to get world record in certain category?
Yeah, so the very first thing is I find a good route for what I'm doing, whether that would be me tasking the route or just already having it like pre-planned. I figure out what time saves I'm gonna do.
Okay, so the first step is finding or picking a route. I picked Darbian's first 456 with the time saves being Bullet Bill Glitch and 2 hard tricks. Well, 3 if you count the egg dash or wall jump. I picked this because I thought this was going to be easy. Yeah, let's see. First step is done. Now we move on into the next step, practicing the hardest trick.
What I personally do for time saves is try to knock out anything really difficult early on because one, it knocks out late game pressure so you don't have to do like an extra time save if you're like nervous. And two, you get to do more attempts in a shorter amount of time if the time saves earlier. So I just find it to be more efficient.
So for this step, I practice Flagpole Glitch or FPG in 1-1. And just 18 minutes in, I actually hit it. Pretty fast, right? You might even think that's too fast, considering FPG isn't easy for a beginner. But to give you some context, my PB was 459.85 back in January 2021, which was 5 years ago. Since then, I've mostly focused on blindfolded runs and only practicing any percent hard tricks whenever I got burnout. So it is important to note that I wasn't practicing this from scratch. I already understood the frame rules, time saves, and how the setup works. However, the last time I actually practiced those tricks was at least 3 years ago, so I still needed to relearn them. Back to the grind, after practicing FPG for another 5 minutes, I shifted my focus to 1-2 pipe clip or 1-2G since I felt I could do it more consistently. So there I was, grinding 1-2G for 2 straight hours, doing the exact same inputs over and over again. Yes, it was boring. Yes, my hands hurt. And yes, I wanted to scroll Instagram Reels so bad. But hey, this is what Niftski does every time he learns a new trick. So you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Basically, which trick is my weakest point? Whatever my weakest point is, that'll be the level I practice the most. A great example of this is obviously Lightning 4-2 at any percent, which is why I put so many hours into that level in particular. I'll just like literally be grinding out for hours, like 11 pixel bump.
Moving on to day 2. It was mostly more 1-2G practice with a little bit of 1-1 FPG mixed in. Sadly, I accidentally deleted 2 whole hours of day 2 footage, but in a nutshell, I managed to get 1-2G full level from 1-1 FPG. That was great. By day 3, I practiced 4-1 FPG and 4-2 wall clip, just to see which hard tricks were the easiest for me to implement on a run. But, well, I ended up practicing all of them anyway. I also added egg dash for pipe jump. Progress was solid, though my biggest struggle was resisting the urge to jump from one trick to another whenever things got hard. You know, usually I'd start practicing trick A, get frustrated, switch to B, then C, and end up mastering none of them. Yeah, that's probably why I've never truly been good at this game. It actually reminded me of a YouTube comment of a quote I read a while ago that said, "Amateurs practice until they can get it right. Professionals practice until they can get it wrong." That hit hard. And speaking of professional practice, do you want to know how many hours Niftski used to put in a day? Well, here's what he had to say.
At my peak, like 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, I was probably doing at least like 5 hours a day of practice.
Wow.
It was like a lot of it would be offline. Like it would just be in voice calls with my friends, and we would just be, chilling in VC, and I would just be practicing while I'm like talking to them.
We are now on day 4. A lot of things happen here. I hit back to back 1-1 FPGs, my 1-2G get way more consistent, I landed back to back 4-1 FPGs, and so much more. With that out of the way, it was time for the next phase of niftski's method, practicing the late game.
Mostly practice the hard levels, and then when I get all those down, I will do a run around like the middle of the run to the end when I'm like comfortable enough. If you know Geometry Dash, some people will do like, I don't know, 50% to 100 or like 30% to 100, where they're basically playing like in the middle of the run to the end. And I find that to be, I apply that to Mario. I kind of adopted that without even knowing that GD runners do it. I know I did that with 1849 Warpless. I got like a few 1849s from 3-1, and then I got like one 1849 from 2-1. And then after I got that one from 2-1, I was like, yeah, like I 100%, I can do this. I just need to like literally do attempts, I was like very confident at that point. So yeah, that's mostly how I go about my grinds and how I go about like building my consistency to the point where I'm ready for runs and then doing runs.
Thus, I began practicing the late game. There's nothing much to talk about here, so once I felt confident, I started doing some runs. Here's the highlight. I got 1-1 FPG but died in 4-2. Got 1-2G with a bad turnaround so it didn't save a frame row. I got a run with FPG and BBG, but because I died 2 times, the final time was 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Another FPG, and a sub 5 run to 8-2. Well, looking back, most of my chokes happened simply because I got nervous in the final worlds. Controlling that mental pressure is huge in speedrunning. And here's what niftski had to say about dealing with nerves.
One thing I do throughout levels is drink water. I think that does a decent job at calming my nerves generally. It just makes me feel at least more refreshed when I'm like, when my heart's just racing out of my chest. So I'll drink water throughout levels. Another thing I've kind of figured out that works for me is just trying to like relax my whole body when I'm on pace or when I'm nervous. That way I'm not, if I'm like really tense, and I start shaking. Like I have had PBs where like you can physically see me like shaking. Like my 456.129 former PB, for example, like in 8.4, I remember my fingers were like this on the keyboard. It was like crazy. Nerve management is another big part of speedrunning for sure. Another thing I try not to do is just get in my own head and just like accept like whatever happens, just play the best I can, basically, if I'm far into the run. Because if I start overthinking like, oh, I might miss this trick, like what if I mess up this part, then I will end up messing it up because I kind of psych myself out like mentally. So it's really 3 of those things. As well as like, flukes are kind of different where I like get far and then I like clutch it first try. But sometimes like you'll get multiple runs and then there will be like a mental block. But the good thing about if that is happening is like the more you get there, the less nervous you'll be because you'll be accustomed to like getting on that pace deep into the run. So you'll kind of be like less nervous like the more you do it. I think it's more of a process of like just consistently grinding at it and continuing with runs and just getting runs far is mostly what like breaks like mental barriers and like stuff like that and allows you to like clutch up.
Day 4 was done. Things went so well that I honestly felt confident I would get a 456 soon. But that confidence was very short-lived. Day 5. Reality check time. I quickly came to my sense and realized that leaping from a high 459 straight to a 456 was way too big of a jump. So I lowered my expectations to a sub 5 first, with a plan to work my way down to 456 bit by bit. As a result, by day 5, I put the hard tricks on hold and focused completely on breaking sub 5. I kick off the day grinding 1-1 underground, 1-2 pipe section, and the endgame. With all this practice, sub 5 should be easy now, right? Even after 373 attempts, 5 more hours of practice spread over 3 days, I just didn't get a sub 5. And there it is. The question has been answered. How good can I actually get in 7 days? Well, not that good. Not even a sub 5. I didn't even get a chance to pull off any of the hard tricks I ground out in the first 4 days. But that's my fault. I rushed into practicing 456 threads before I even had a solid foundation for a 459. And yeah, that's it. I've abandoned this video for over a month now. It's already August and this interview took place back in early March. Man, the ending is so unsatisfying. 4 days of hype and grind led to nothing. I couldn't even hit my backup goal. I was just totally burned out. Which brings me to this. Here's what Niftski had to say about dealing with it.
Usually when I'm burnt out, this is what I did in the initial 454 grind when we were trying to get the very first 454. I remember I burnt out for, I think, a little over a week. But what I did was I burnt out of doing runs basically and streaming, but not really like with practice. So even while I was burnt out, I was still doing practice and I was still like maintaining my consistency. Because if I fully stopped, I knew that like I would have to like take multiple days to like get back to where I was and like de-rust, and like I didn't want to do that because I knew I wanted to keep going. So that's the main thing, is that like just putting in, even if it's like minimal hours, just like doing something to like just maintain my consistency. More recently though, during the bounty by Wormwood, I like really burnt out, like more than ever that I ever have. And it got to the point where I literally did not play any percent for like over a month, even though I knew like someone like a Verge or like Lakuki could easily take it. I don't know. I did not have like any motivation, and then I stopped practicing. And admittedly, I did actually start playing another game. I kind of got like, I went through like a little phase of playing this other game, and it kind of like, in a way, distracted me from any percent. Like, and I think if I could go back in time, I would definitely at least take some time away from that game and put my focus into at least practice and maintaining my consistency. Because I wasn't even playing the game at all when I was burnt out either. Like, I was just full on playing this other game. I wasn't even like keeping my muscle memory or anything, or my consistency, by playing even like minimally. So that was the main thing I've done during like being burnt out. But yeah, more recently, I kind of just, I don't know, I didn't do it as optimally, so yeah.
Now what? I couldn't just let this video end like that. Well, I decided to come back and give it another shot. I practiced my weak points in the endgame once more to rebuild my consistency back. I even tested myself on a few hard tricks just to see if I still had them. And to my surprise, I nailed them. It was such a huge relief that I could still execute those setups in a few tries, meaning those 4 days of practice weren't a total waste after all. Then, the real attempts began. It didn't look good at first. I was failing over and over again. But as the time went on, my runs kept getting cleaner and cleaner. Until More than 100 attempts later, I finally got this run. I checked the final time and holy crap, it actually happened. Sub 5. Let's go! You know, if there's one major takeaway from this whole experience, it's that great things take time. Niftski didn't achieve his record-breaking accomplishments overnight. He put in years of relentless grinding. It's not that he's naturally gifted. It's the fact that he puts in more time and effort than anyone else.
I'm not special, like, at all. I'm not like some sort of subhuman, like, robot, you know? I'm not that crazy, you know? It's just that I've put in so much effort and so much time. And I think the main takeaway is, like, if you have a vision to do something you want to do in your life, whether that would be even outside of speedrunning, then do that. Like, it's cliche, but, like, I genuinely do believe, like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. With any sort of progression, it's never linear, is another thing people fail to realize. They'll be, like, grinding at something, and they'll have, like, a streak of bad days, and they'll kind of, like us as humans, like, we tend to, like, see stuff like that, and we'll be like, you know, maybe I'm going nowhere. Like, maybe I won't get anything out of this. But if you power through that negativity and you're able to, like, just keep pushing, you will see results, like, inevitably, as long as you try. So as long as you put in that effort, I think you can get anywhere you want to go in life. As long as you have the resources and, obviously, more importantly, the mentality to do so. I truly believe anyone can accomplish anything. The world is yours.